Josh's girlfriend's mom called us and let us know what had happened.
And then when you find out, when your best friend is gone, and you don't ever think that's going to happen to you or your friends.
We found out that the exact night that it happened, that he was gone.
That day and the next couple of days are just a blur. It's all the same thing. You're just numb.
It took about a day for me to realize that it was actually true, and that we were never going to see him again.
I remember him being born like it was yesterday. He was a fun kid to have around and always entertaining, and from a very early age was quite a comedian.
If he walked in the room, I could actually feel my heart clenching because I loved him so much. He was just growing up to be a wonderful young man.
Always a smile on his face, always joking and laughing, and it makes you want to joke and laugh around as well. It makes you want to do what he does and makes you want to laugh like he does.
You would go to work and you were hanging out with your friends, and people always used to laugh at us because they'd find us dancing in aisles or having like a random party in the middle of work.
He came home one day and said, "I've bought a drum kit." And the next thing I'd know, I'd hear the thump, thump, thump. And he'd be playing his drums, but I didn't care. I thought it was great. I loved the fact that he loved playing the drums.
The house always seemed so quiet without him. It was just a loud, it was really loud, but such a loud character. And he got into making films. He really loved to make little cartoon films and editing and messing around with video cameras.
We used to make videos when we were young with his neighbourhood friends where we literally just do the silliest things ever, and he put them on YouTube.
He would direct it and then he would produce it, make it all up, and he would put it all on DVD and hand his copies out to his friends. That's what he was going to be doing. He'd signed up, he was going to do a course at Fanshawe. Unfortunately, he never got there. And it was about 6:10, 6:15, the phone rang, and I thought, oh, that'll be Josh letting me know, he's caught up somewhere, he's probably, just hanging out with some friends or something, he'll be along later. I answered the phone and somebody said, "Is that Catherine Field?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And they said, "This is London Police." "Oh, okay, yeah, can I help you?" Josh has been involved in an accident and that we'd like you to come to the hospital.
Myself and Meg were across on Belmont Fields there. We were doing soccer coaching for the younger ones. It was a Wednesday night.
I remember seeing Mum come over the field and she looked all frantic and everything.
I run across the field and I see Nigel and Meg and I say, something's happened with Josh, we've got to get to the hospital. They didn't realise quite what it was, but I just knew something wasn't right.
Being in the car on the way there, my dad was driving, Mum's in the passenger seat and I was sat in the back. And I remember my mum had reached for my dad's hand and they just held hands for a minute and they looked at each other and it was a look of pure worry. They didn't know what was going to happen or what was going on at all.
The parents arrived and were waiting outside. We were very concerned that Josh wouldn't survive, so we brought his parents, Nigel and Catherine, to the bedside so they could be with their son.
We're trying to get oxygen and blood to his brain, though they were concerned about him. He was in a bad way.
Josh had received severe impact to the back of his head and that they were concerned with him. His blood pressure was low and they were concerned with his heart rate.
They asked us to leave that room and go down the corridor. I remember walking down the corridor to the next room. We hadn't gone 20 steps.
One of the doctors that we'd just seen came into the hallway and I just remember hearing the voice, "Mr. and Mrs. Field." Before I even turned round, the tone of the voice gave it away.
And I just fell to my knees and screamed the place down because I knew he died. I knew he was gone. I knew he was gone.
And I remember my mum was holding my hand and she was holding my dad's hand and I just remember everyone just broke down crying at that point.
And I just remember running, I don't know if I was running, walking, scrambling or what I was doing, back into the room and back to where Josh was laid down. And just running over to Josh, and all the time I can remember vividly saying, "Where's my baby? Where's Josh? Where's my baby? Where's Josh? Where's my baby?" That's all I remember saying over and over again, running over to him and just cradling his head. Just cradling his head and just looking up at the doctor and saying to him, "Please do something. Please do anything. Please." Just remember over and over again, just to please do whatever you can. Whatever you can, please do. And him just looking back and saying, "I'm so sorry, there's nothing we can do for him."
I remember Catherine holding his hand and just asking him, "If you're in there, just come out. Just get yourself better. You can do this." But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be.
After a while, we were taken up to paediatric critical care unit.
They obviously wanted to talk to us then about organ donation, which we both said instantaneously, yes, we wanted to do that.
Probably the easiest decision we had that night was to say yes, we wanted to donate his organs.
All his friends came to the hospital to visit Josh, and they spent time with us at the bedside all through the night.
We stopped there all night, holding his hand, stroking his hair.
I got to give him the last kiss. I got to give him on the forehead, which was nice. I got to say goodbye.
I relive the incident at the hospital every day. I see Catherine coming across the field telling me that he's been in a car crash. I revisit the hospital, I revisit Josh going. I revisit calling my dad in England and telling him he wasn't going to be seeing his grandson anymore. You know, everything. It just goes on and on and on. It's forever.
We wanted to make sure that Josh stayed alive to us and to his friends, to everybody that knew him.
We celebrated him, pictures everywhere around the house, and we watch his videos, we do everything that reminds us of him. Nice to remember him for being happy instead of being sad that he's gone.
There are so many things that we all miss about Josh every day, but it's the laughing and the hugging and the singing and the dancing, and it's just having him around and knowing that he's okay, probably the most.
He's just grown so much and become such a nice young man to be around. And just taking the time to say, you know what, I'm so proud of you right now, was probably the best talk we ever had, because you don't do that enough with your own kids. You don't just stop them someday and say, you know what, you're doing okay, I'm so proud of you. Distracted driving infuriates me. I only work 10 minutes from home. I drive back and forth 4 times and pass probably 4 or 5 people every day on a cell phone. Despite all the efforts that we put in to educate people that it takes 1 second. That's all it took Josh. He didn't get a second chance. It took him 1 second to pull a phone out of his pocket and finish up in a ditch.
If Josh had more knowledge about the outcome of answering that cell phone, maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe he would just have left it. So for us to try and promote distracted driving awareness and to make sure that somebody doesn't go do the same thing, doesn't try and answer that phone, if it would save just one person's life, then it's worth it to us.
The crash changed everything, and not just, you know, my relation with our friends who were there and how I, you know, live my life now. It's out of fear that one of my friends will make this mistake and we'll go through this again, because it was just the worst possible experience.
It just took Josh a moment's distraction from that road just to grab that stupid cell phone that cost him his life.
The worst part for me was when everything comes together and he has to go off for his operation for the organ transplant side of things. and then watch him just wheel away in the bed, and that's the last you're going to see of Josh. And then we get presented with a box. We get a wooden box from the hospital with a few things in there that he came in with. And I went in with the son and I came out with the box. And that's still hard. Really hard.